Luke is very excited. We'll get that.
I'm excited.
Luke is especially excited. I'm a Man United fan, and he said, "For you, Josh, it's like Cristiano Ronaldo coming on." So,
well, that's quite a compliment. So I'm happy with that.
I'm going to tweet him after.
What were his Derby representative? Were it if Inagodi Acca's or Paolo One Chop come on or something?
Yeah,
he's your hero, isn't he?
Yeah. Old, isn't he? Yeah, but if it's all right, Robbie, we'll go straight for it.
Yeah, absolutely, mate. Fire away.
Cool. Welcome back to another Pint Podcast. Robbie, Bad Beat Bob himself. We're delighted to have you on the podcast, mate. Thank you very much for coming on, firstly. A true legend at Bradford City, but then becoming a real hero for all Burnley fans, Luke especially. But if it's all right, can we just start by going back to the beginning of your career and obviously being born in Middlesbrough and how you come through at Darlington?
Yeah, well, I think obviously when I was a schoolboy at Middlesbrough at the time, and the club went into liquidation a number of years. I can't remember exactly the year it was, and I think they just wanted to keep what they thought was the best players at the time. And obviously, me not fitting that criteria, just luckily for me, there was the likes of Darlington, Hartlepool, and teams like that around. So we had a really good scout called Barry Geldat, who sadly passed away not long ago, but he was, instrumental in the early days of my career. And so he said, "Listen, go along to Darlington. I know you want to play a little bit high, but go then and see if you enjoy it, see if you like it." And I did. And then, within about 7 or 8 months, I was training with the first team. So it was while the players who I was at Middlesbrough with, they didn't really get that man's football situation. They just stayed in, the young lads environment where I was straight in with the first team, straight playing against men. And in them days, it's a little bit different now. You knew what you were doing. So I think it stood me in great stead to get on my career earlier.
Yeah. Was Sean Gregan in that team as well, Robbie?
Big Griggs, yeah. Griggs was there, yeah.
Cracking couple of players in one team.
He was a fantastic player, to be fair, Griggs. Fantastic player.
Absolute beast for Preston against us.
Yeah. But,
do you find that massively important then, going and getting men's football as early as you can in your career?
Yeah, absolutely. I still think that stands for it now as well. Let's to be fair, I think you've got to. I think while there's an element of a bit of both when I was playing, of trying to be a little bit more professional, but I feel like you have to go out and sample men's football as soon as you can, and I think that was massive for me. And obviously, I'm coaching at Bognor Regis at the minute, and we're quite fortunate. We've got a good relationship with Portsmouth, where we get a lot of their younger lads. And to be honest, there's a few of the lads who've been released. We've only had them 6 months and have gone on to Football League clubs again, because they started playing against men and they realise, it's not under 23, under 21 football anymore. And it doesn't have to bring people on, and it does stand them in good stead.
Yeah, we had a few guests on, and we talk about maybe the negative side of like the under 23s league and things like that you see in the Premier League. And it's great. We don't have many that say it's a good thing, really, do we? From the guests we've spoke to, a lot echo what you've said about needing that competitive edge and that men's football, really. So
yeah, I mean, listen, you've got to be careful how you say this, because obviously I've not trained or coached players at that level, but I just think under 23 football is a load of rubbish. Personally, I really do. It doesn't. Listen, you'll get the 1 or 2 exceptions. Of course, that's just because they've got better talent than the majority of them. But I think if you go on an average, the sooner they can go out and sample men's football and have that physicality and have the strength. It's not only so much the strength; it's the tempo. When you play, I haven't played academy football, so to say. So I don't. But when I've visually watched it from the stands, when I've gone to watch games, there's not much tempo. It's all like you have it side to side, pass side to side, keep the ball, well done. And while winning is not everything, and it's not good to bring young lads up thinking winning is a must. I think there's also, you've got to just breathe that into them to understand that results do matter. And I think that goes away from it a lot of academy football, and I think that's where we do go a little bit soft nowadays.
Yeah, agree. Well, yeah, back onto yourself, Robbie. So after a couple of seasons at Darlington, you were certainly hot property. Signed for Bradford City in '97, 47 goals in 175 games, which was superb return. Playing some great football under Paul Jewell, getting into the Premier League, which mad at the time and mad to think now with where Bradford are. What's your time? How do you reflect on your time at Bradford?
Incredible times, really. You know, like you say, it's sad the way they are at the minute, but it was incredible times. Going there. I remember going there, and it was just a case of they were stabilising themselves, and then I think they were ready to have a little bit of a kick on and sign some players that they felt could bring them that. You know, I didn't at that time know genuinely how good I could be, so it was a case of, great opportunity for me. Another stepping stone, hopefully, and so obviously that did materialise, but it was just the start of something around them years that was going to take off. And I think I can remember, like, we survived the last day of the season. I think it might have been Crewe away. We survived the last game of the season, and obviously then Paul Jewell brought more players and brought obviously Stuart McCall back to the club, and then he brought Gareth Wally, people like that, Isaiah Rankin, Lee Mills, Peter Beagrie. So all them players are were good players, and I think it was pretty much similar. I don't like saying this, but in the way of like Burnley, in terms of they weren't expected to be good, but in reality, at Bradford and at Burnley, we had exceptional players at the football club that people, just because it was not little old Burnley, but when you've got the bigger team, bigger clubs, so to say, what they think they are, it gets overlooked, and I think that's what happened with us as well.
Yeah, I love what you said there, actually, because we always have this conversation, myself, Luke, and Josh, about the England squad and the England sort of pickup. I mean, the players that are there now, like Ben Mead, Tark, Charlie Taylor, McNeil, all don't get a sort of shout in the England team. Do you feel like it's because they see them as a small Premier League club that they don't sort of pick them players, really?
I think it's a lot easier to leave them players out. I think it's a lot easier to leave them players out. And whatever happens, guys, trust me, I've been in football long enough. There's a lot of politics going in football, and they deserve huge amount of credit. Not only, I mean, we can even go back to when Heaton was the keeper. Yeah,
definitely.
In my opinion, he was possibly the best keeper in that league, even though they had De Gea and people like that. He was on a consistent level. I think one season he kept Burnley in the league, probably. So he deserved a call up. I mean, obviously he did get one in the end, but everyone was sort of pressurising the situation. And I think it's the same. I think how Pope has not had the games he should have had. Yeah. And now, Tarkowski's not played. Now Neil's not played yet. So it's just a case of, I do think there's an element of that. And people might say, no, you're wrong. They're just not as good as what they are. And in fact, they are. They're very good players, and they do deserve. And when you say, little old Burnley now, it's not little old Burnley no more, is it? It's not. No. It's they've
established Premier League.
They've established themselves a proper Premier League team, and what gets missed is it's a fantastically well-run club. They don't spend over the means. They don't go and spend £40 million on a player. They've got a fantastic manager in. The model is perfect for the football club. Listen, eventually that will change. Whether the manager goes on as a change, it will happen. But one thing you would say is the club is in great hands, both on and off the pitch. Yes, it's been a new takeover, and I don't know what that takeover is going to be like. But so far, when you've got a manager and all the players are buying into the drill of what it is, it might not be the most attractive football, but they buy into it, and it's great for Burnley Football Club. And it's not me. I enjoy watching the team because obviously my love for Burnley will always be there. So it doesn't matter how they play; it's the results that are the most important thing. And for the last 4 or 5 years now, it continued on that before the Premier League. Yeah. Sean's done an incredible, consistent job.
Yeah, I can't agree enough with every word you said there, and especially your point on Nick Pope. I mean, I know that there's the whole you've got to play out from the back, you've got to be good with your feet kind of drive now in football, but listen, a goalkeeper's number one job is to keep the ball out of the net. And if we're in a penalty shootout or we're defending a 1-0 lead in a semi-final at the Euros, I'd want Nick Pope in goal, not Jordan Pickford.
Absolutely. And whenever you look at it, I think he's got the most clean sheets, hasn't he? Apart from, I think Ederson's got the most, but you're talking about a £500 million team compared to a £50 million team. So
Exactly.
You know, and Nick Pope will face about 15 more shots a game than what Ederson will. So you got to take it in perspective. And yes, listen, no one likes to watch more free flow and attractive, you know, penetrating football than me. You know, that's how I want to. That's how I coach. That's how I want it. But the facts are, he's a fantastic goalkeeper that doesn't really get beat, and he doesn't really. I think I've seen him make one mistake in about the last 2 years. Yeah. So it's, you know, while I'm not. You can't really argue with Pickford's credentials as an England goalkeeper.
Mm-hmm.
He's made serious risks for Everton, but what you will say is, as a player or as a manager, you trust that person because he's done well for you. So it's very difficult for Gareth to leave Pickford out. But I think Pope, hopefully, surely this time is with Pickford out, the squad plays.
Yeah. Well, this is his chance, like you say, to kind of make a stake for it and really put him under pressure going into the Euros, definitely.
You wouldn't be at all surprised if you had me Henderson, though, would you? Just had you wouldn't be surprised. For me, Pope's number one, and I'm a United fan.
Yeah,
Pope has to have this chance. But would you be surprised if team sheet comes out whenever it is, Wednesday?
No, I mean, because when you look at it, even just going off this, how long did it take Grealish to get a cap? Yeah. I mean, it was just absolutely ridiculous. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
Whether he goes over a little bit quick, the guy is pure quality, and the player that he is, we've lost track of. You know, 10 years ago, he'd have been all thought of, you know, with the scruffy socks down, and you know, he's just an incredible footballer.
Plays very similarly to you, actually, Robbie. I think.
Well, he's probably a bit better than me.
Your second spell at Burnley, though, that like sort of left wing, able to cut in, and you know, I've been watching Burnley now in the Premier League for about 10 years, and I've said before, the two best players I've ever seen up against Burnley, Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang, because he scored a ridiculous hat-trick against us, and Jack Grealish.
Yeah, Grealish is a fantastic footballer, but you know, he's devilment to get on the ball. You know, he's just and you as a player, I mean, you get players at every level. They carry the team, you know, and the players look to him. Just give me the ball, give him the ball. And that's the sign of a top class player.
Yeah, definitely.
And it's getting to that level now for England as well.
Yeah, no, it's exciting for the summer, definitely.
Right, we'll jump back to you, Robbie. So Josh sort of touched on this about sort of where Bradford are now, and obviously in that time when you was there, they suffered that relegation and massive financial difficulties. But what was it like playing with the players that were there, such as your Stan Collins and Benito Carbone, etc.?
It was a complete eye opener. You know, it was. Listen, when we first got there, and then we survived on the last day of the season when Weatherall scored that great header against Liverpool and we beat them 1-0. I was in the toilet, actually, believe it or not, at Valley Parade. You have a communal toilet, you know, for both dressing rooms. So anyway, I'm having a wee, and then David Thompson, you know, the small winger.
Yeah.
He came in, ex-Liverpool, Blackburn. He came beside me, and Jamie Carragher came the other side. And I just, you know, as a bit of banter, I said, "Go easy, lads, today. You know what I mean? We need the points more than you." And he said, Carragher went, "You know, you're joking, aren't you?" He said, "We don't want to win this game today." He said, "If we get in the Champions League, Julio will bring all the big hitters in. We want to keep it down to that." So I thought we got a chance of winning today. Then, yeah, we did. Yeah, we won 1-0. So.
We didn't even want to win.
Brilliant.
Following Bradford, Robbie.
Listen, whether he was, you know, tongue in cheek, having a bit of banter, but I just thought it was quite. I said, "You're not going to leave it, boys." What he's just said to me in there. Nah, you wouldn't have said that. I said, "I'm telling you, we won 1-0. We won 1-0 and didn't come over the halfway line."
Carragher rarely did anyway, did he?
Yeah, we just had players in front of him who could play.
Yeah. Pass to them, Jamie.
And following that season, Robbie, you had a couple of loan spells, but obviously you did make the move to Burnley. And I remember at the time thinking, fucking hell, that is a class signing. The reason for that, about a year prior, I don't know if you remember this game, you were playing for Forest on loan. And you absolutely tore us a new arsehole. You won 5-0.
I think, we won 5-0. I mean, Jack Lester were played up front, didn't he? Yeah.
Jesus.
We had Big Coxie and Big Steve Davis, like two P&Os, so we just started.
Yeah.
But no, you know what? Stan collared me in the tunnel afterwards, and he was like, "You little shit, yeah." He said, "Where did that come from?" I said, "I'm fit now, Stan," like that. So he said, "Don't worry, it won't be the last to see you." And I just, started laughing and shrugged my shoulders and went straight into, Forest's first team dressing room. But going back to the Bradford, which you probably won't like this, Luke, actually. When I was, it basically, so the year we stayed up and then we got back in the Premier League and we brought signed better players. I actually got reserve call up for England.
All right.
So I got Kevin Keegan's on the phone. I thought it was one of my mates. He was like, "Robbie, it's Kevin." I was like, "Yeah, good one, lads." Yeah. They say, no, it's Kevin. We've been watching you over the last 6 weeks and you're doing great, but we just feel, we're going to keep watching you for another month and then we're going to put you on reserve. But if anyone breaks down, because they used to have 2 reserves then. Okay. They used to name the team and then they'd have 2 standby players who would go in.
Yeah.
And when I look back, the 3 previous call-ups, someone pulled out. And on my occasion, they didn't pull out. Can you believe it? Well, I mean, listen, it's so, and I was getting back to, look, is that year, is Blackburn bid £4 million for me when Jack Watt was the chairman and Brian Kidd was the manager. So I might have not have been playing for Burnley, I'd have been playing for Blackburn. So,
oh my God.
God, no, I just thought I'd say that, but just luckily they got turned down. I mean, obviously it was big money at the time, and I was, without my affinity with Burnley now, obviously that was never happening at that time. So it was, they were going to bid £4 million straight down, like, so that was a hell of a lot of money. So I was, and it did sidetrack me at Bradford. I did fall out with the chairman, I fell out with the manager, and that's when it resulted in me going out on loan to Forest and then going out again, which, it did, while it was great at Bradford, it did turn a little bit, nasty. And to be honest, it was not all my fault.
Yeah. They were a massive club at the time as well. Won league probably a couple of years before that.
They had some, fantastic football players. I mean, to spend that amount of money as well at that time, it was obviously relevant to it now. It would have been a lot of money. So, it was one of them purple patches you'd have in your career, and everything was going right for me. Then, just as football does, it just hits you straight away, and then before you know it, you're out of that system, you're out of that scene, and you're going out on loan to try and get games.
Yeah.
So do you think your performance for Forest and that conversation with Stan came into play at all, then, Robbie, when the club actually signed you?
I think whether you're a fan, whether you're a player, whether you're a manager or a coach, if certain performances stick out, you do tend to say, "Oh, well, what about that player? Or what about him?" Or do you know what I mean? So thankfully, it was sort of one of them great moments to do it, really, because obviously with what the great times you had at the club.
And what was Stan like? We've had a few ex-Burnley on at this point. It's the first words are, he's a character. That's being kind, obviously. I mean, I've got my own stories of run-ins with Stan, which I'll have to share sometime.
I think everybody in Burnley's had a run-in with Stan, haven't they?
But it can't be doubted. I mean, what an unbelievable job he did for our club, and obviously he did bring you in. What were your relationship like with him?
Incredible. And you know what? Listen, Stan's never going to get the plaudits he deserves because maybe his style of football or people thought his style of football was bad. But in reality, he was doing a changeover of getting better players in.
Mm-hmm.
And while you've still got players in, I don't mean it disrespectful to these players that are not that mould. It's very difficult to breed that into the team. So you have to filter it out every now and then. But you can't make wholesale changes, 8 or 9 changes straight away, because it just upsets the dynamics of the team and what he wants to do. But as a guy, incredible, loyal. As a manager, the best for me in terms of the whole thing I've got to think about. Because when you're a good player, as Nicholas, obviously being a Man United fan, can see a lot of times, is you don't really need to coach them.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. You just set a certain system up, and they just go and do it for you. You can't really coach Wayne Rooney and Tevez and Ronaldo doing little flicks and little 1-2s and giving goals. It's just natural because they're great at it.
Yeah.
But as the full figure of a manager and everything he brought and what he did, he was the best for me, Stan. The best. But when I signed with which I thought was a stomach strain. We were playing Walsall in the FA Cup, and the ball just got thrown down the line. And I've tried to stretch to keep the ball in. I've had pop in my stomach, so I thought, it must be a stomach strain. So obviously later on, it turned out that I had a double hernia. But Burnley signed me with a double hernia, but they thought it was just a stomach strain. So for like the first, I think I played a game. I think I came on as a sub against Bradford of all teams, and I got subbed within about 5 minutes because I couldn't move. I literally couldn't move. And my low sense of gravity was my game, and I had no power in my core or midriff. I couldn't move anywhere. So I just said to Sauce, was the physio, I said, Sauce, I can't move. I need to go and get a scanner. I need to go and see a specialist or something. So I go and see the specialist, puts me, you've done your hernia. I said, great. Then I said, listen, get me in 3 or 4 weeks, do a little bit of rehab. I'll be back in the fold within 5 or 6 weeks. No problem. Might even be earlier.
Yeah.
No, Stan don't want that. He wants the full squad together. I said, I can't move. I said, he signed me for £1 million and I can't move. So what good am I? No, he still wants the squad together. So that was why my Burnley start was so terrible.
Yeah.
It was so bad because I couldn't physically move. I just literally, any power in the shots, nothing. I couldn't do it. And he used to turn around to Cliff Roberts, who was the scout, and go, fucking hell, what have we signed here? And I used to come off the pitch and go, Gaffer, I can't move. I need an operation. No, we're not. No, I'm on all the squad together. So that was why my start was terrible.
So what was it? Just sort of end at season? Did he finally
that season? We were in hunt for playoffs as well. Like Robbie was our big January signing to try and get us into.
He waited. Yeah. He waited, and then about a month later, he went, get him in, Sauce.
You could have been back by then.
Yeah. So I think I come back. Well, no, I didn't come back actually, because I remember Gazza hitting the post against Coventry when we needed to win 2-0.
Yeah.
I remember Gazza hitting the post on the free kick last kick of the game, and I remember watching it from the back of the goal and obviously the old tunnel that was right at the back. Yeah. So I didn't get back at all. So then it was so important that that pre-season was massive for me, which I got fit, and then obviously started to do all right.
Yeah. So at that time, which we just talked about, when you did join Burnley, they really were, like Luke said, pushing for promotion, and you did just miss out. And then there were a bit of financial trouble at the club, weren't there? Was it ITV Digital went belly up, and
I think a lot of teams suffered, didn't they, with that?
What was that like to sort of play through that period?
I think inevitably, when there's uncertainty, whether it's a football club or obviously when it's a big contract that affects the football club, of course it does. But I think at that time we possibly might have been one of the easier clubs that might not have been as damaged as other clubs who were probably paying a little bit more money, which obviously was still going to affect the club. But I think, I think while it did affect us, we just had a fantastic manager and we had a great squad of players. Like the characters, lads, like some of the stories, the characters were incredible, you know what I mean? So we just, once we got in the dressing room or got trained, whether it's training or on the pitch, we just stuck together like glue, and it did get us through. It got us through in very, very like difficult circumstances sometimes, and that's where a lot of the credit doesn't go to Stan as well. You know what I mean? Because he did get us through all that situation as well.
Yeah. I mean, that season we were in relegation trouble all season, 2003, 2004. But on a personal level, that was some of the best football you ever played for us. I think you got 22 goals, just outstanding all season. And I don't mean to have a go at the other lads when I say it, but you kind of did single-handedly keep us up that season, really, with your goals anyway. The amount of points you subtract them, and it's ludicrous. We're like so far down. I mean,
go on. Sorry, go on.
I was just going to say, did that ever like come across to you? Did you have like a sense of like responsibility there, like I don't know how that would have felt for you, knowing that we were still relying on you.
To be honest, look, not 1 ounce did I think responsibility. It was just my job to do the best I possibly could. Now, if that was better than some other people, or if that was scoring important goals or getting us points, I think everybody, contributed in some way. While I respect what you're saying and appreciate what you're saying. Yeah, it's not just one single player. Listen, I know to score important goals, but there might have been a last-ditch tackle from somewhere. It might have been a grave save from somebody, and luckily for me, when you score a goal or when anyone scores a goal, it's more highlight than someone saving a penalty or making a great save in the last minute. So sometimes you just get on them purple patches, and obviously, you know, I was in a good rich vein of form then. I was happy in life, and I was happy doing what I was doing. And you know, you just when you like that and you feel comfortable on a football pitch, you can do a lot of things and achieve a lot of things.
Yeah.
You had an amazing understanding as well that season with Glenn Little and almost appearing on a different wavelength to some of the other players. But what was he like to play with and be a part of in the dressing room?
Glenn was not only brilliant to play with, but what a character off it. I mean, honestly, he was just incredible. But, you know, people used to say, oh, he's so lucky that Glenn Little, he does this. He wasn't. It was just an art that he had. It might have looked scruffy, but I guarantee you, he used to do it every day in training, and he used to do it every day on the pitch. And no one could replicate what he did, and that's why he was unique. But he was such a fantastic footballer. But he was a great person off the pitch, such a character, and someone who was massively valued in the dressing room. But what a player!
Yeah, he was. Like I say, anyone asks me who's my favourite ever Burnley player, it's a tie basically between you and Glenn. Just great to watch. You know, you both got us off our seats. That's the difference, I think, between. And the thing with Glenn was he was so unorthodox. He just doesn't look like a winger. He was like 6'4". He had no pace, but he didn't need it. If the fullback that he just beaten caught with him, he just beat him again. He was just
chop him again, wouldn't he? He'd just chop him again, or he'd hit it off his leg to hit his other leg, and then it is off his knee, and then go through. He used to do it all the time, but it was something he used to do, and you can't do that many times without being lucky.
Yeah,
you know, it's impossible. But what a player!
So I just want to say as well, sorry, Luke means it when he says you and Glenn are his favourite players. Because when we had Paul and Tony Grant on, he was like, "Oh, about favourite players," and he didn't even say them. They're on podcast. Robbie and Glenn.
He's just telling the truth, isn't he?
That's it. I'm not just gonna.
I'm joking.
I'm not just gonna lie to Tony Grant and say you're my favourite ever player, Tony.
To be fair, Tony Grant used to say that to me.
He did on the podcast. He put you in the greatest ever team of 11 he played.
That's incredible.
A big compliment when you think he'd play with like Kanchelskis, Big Dunk, all the rest. It says it all, really.
Yeah, no, it's nice to be, you know, held in that, and that's one thing you can take back from when you speak to ex-pros or you see ex-pros and what the teams and they have you in it. It's really satisfying, to be fair. It's quite humbling, but really satisfying as well.
Yeah, that's good. At the end of that season, Robbie, obviously Stan left, Glenn left as well, so quite a lot of changeover from what we'd known as Burnley fans. And Steve Cottrell came in, made you captain, which, you know, was in our eyes the obvious thing to do. I think we only had about 8 players anyway that summer.
Yeah. Well, thanks, Luke. Yeah. Yeah. We were that desperate. Yeah.
We were that desperate.
Just give him it. Just give him it.
Just been picking you up, Luke, as well.
No, but you know, he made some great. So we got like John McGreal in, Frank Sinclair. So we got some experienced lads in. But he did, you know, like I say, made you captain. And for me, there's 2 periods of form that you had at Burnley, which were you at your absolute peak. We'll come on to promotion season shortly, obviously, but your form from the start of that season up till Christmas was just ridiculous, really. Some absolute screamers. Preston free kicks, obviously, which are given with you.
Nice though.
Yeah, and January window were coming round, and obviously you were being linked with an exit. At the time, I think there was rumours Paul Jewell were trying to get you back because obviously he'd had you at Bradford. And then you did end up getting you moved to Birmingham. From a Burnley fan's perspective, obviously at the time, I'll tell you something, you know, just to embarrass myself further about this. My mum and dad, for me, it was my 18th birthday that December. And my mum and dad actually got me a framed, still on my stairs actually, a framed Robbie Blake shirt that said Happy 18th, Luke. And he did actually leave 5 days later, which was class.
Oh, sorry, mate. Sorry.
I blame my mum and dad for that, really.
Yeah, sorry. I bet that sun came down.
It went back up when he came back. So just how did that come about? Did you just feel, look, I've got to give it another go in the Prem? Was that you thinking?
Yeah, you know what? It was difficult because it wasn't all me wanting to leave, to be honest. It got a little bit heated with me, Barry Kilby and Steve Cottrell. You can't go into it because certain things of like loyalty things and certain things that I should have required that I wasn't, you know what I mean? So it was just a bit, inevitably you just look at the player and say he wants to leave, he wants to do it. But it wasn't, I wasn't really in a great mind with Steve at the time, to be honest.
Right.
But listen, when you're at a club and you see because at that time there was no progression at our club in terms of it gone, it stayed, it was staying. I was saying, what's the situation? Are we going to spend a bit? Are we going to try and push on to the next level of players?
Yeah.
Can you give me a new contract? No, we can't give you a new contract.
Yeah.
Just all things like that. And then obviously it just, as you do, listen, things happen. You're younger, you're a bit brash. And then I was like, well, you know, if that's not the case, if you can't guarantee me that, you know, maybe it's best that I leave. You know, use cashing on the money. Maybe that might be enough money for you to progress or take the club a bit further.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it didn't turn sour in the end because I think everybody came to a compromise. The only thing I really was disappointed was Steve like hammered me to the press so you fans could see it, and it wasn't the true reflection of what was happening. I did actually say, "Give me a new contract and I'll stay."
Yeah,
and it wasn't for the same amount of money that I was going to go to Birmingham for.
Yeah.
So that's not me trying to dig an hole. I'm just trying to give you an insight to how the situation went. And what I will say is, once I signed, even though it was a great move for me, I did regret leaving the club because I just felt at home with everything, you know, the support of the place, even the journey across from where I lived in Harrogate. Just liked it. You know, I just felt comfortable. And while, you know, I don't regret things in life because I just still think, oh God, I shouldn't have left.
I think, you know, in hindsight, you know what Burnley fans were like. You know what we're like in general. They hold grudges. We'll
but I've got no problem. Look, I've got no problem with that. You know what I mean? You know, listen, I'd take that as a little bit of a compliment because if they didn't, I thought, you know, see you later. We'll get someone else in. Fine.
Exactly.
So I've got no problem with anybody saying to me, you're a dick. You know, why did you leave? You Judas. I've got no problem with that.
What I was going to say was actually the opposite. We do hold grudges when we feel kind of. We'll come on to Owen Coyle. Like, I've got over it. Actually shook his hand since, but you know, that type of thing. But when it came to you, I mean, it's easy to say now in retrospect and everything, but we did get over it. I remember giving you a clap at Ellen Road when you played for Leeds. You actually scored free kick against us. Of course you did. And then, you know, if you were there against Accrington, obviously you were because you came on. What am I on about? But your first game on your return, it was
I remember that,
Acca. And you know, to a man, we were all stood up like, "Oh, Robbie," because back. So I remember
getting off that. But I remember getting off the bus actually at Accrington, and then when I was training pre-season and stuff like that, it only sank in when I was getting off that bus. Shit.
Yeah.
I wonder what sort of reception I'm going to get. Honestly, it didn't enter my mind until because I was just going in every day. You might see one supporter who goes to Gawthorpe or whatever.
Yeah.
But it just suddenly thought, oh, shit. What sort of reaction am I going to get here?
Yeah.
And it was mixed. But in my own head, speaking to my family, I said, I've got no problem with it because I know I've got to win them over.
Yeah.
And that's why I was so more driven than any other time at any other football club. Because not only, listen, it's football, it's life, everything revolves, you know, no one player is bigger than the club or anything like that. But I always felt he's deserved more respect. So that it was more in me to do even a better job than I actually did before I left.
Yep, that's great.
So following your spell at Birmingham, you did move to Leeds under Kevin Blackwell, a massive club who was just relegated.
Did you say Kevin Blackwell or Kevin Bakewell?
Kevin Blackwell.
Well, he managed like Bakewell.
Oh.
Fucking useless.
I think at that time, actually, you lost in the playoff final to Watford. What was that like in the experience?
Well, the reason why we probably lost is because we had four centre forwards on the bench with one up front. So
because of Bakewell.
It's too busy baking the old tarts.
The team you had that year, I looked at it before you came on, Robbie, and the strikers you had, yourself, David Ely, Richard Cresswell, Rob Hulse, I think.
Yeah.
Like, what? This is 4 15 to 20 goal strikers in the Championship. Even Kevin Blackwell should have been getting you up, from my perspective.
Well, listen, you always have good managers, bad managers. You might have good managers that you just don't get on with.
Yeah.
But he was bad. You know, and listen, I've been this side of the fence now. I understand it. It's not easy coaching. It's not easy managing.
Yeah.
But just so far out of his depth, it was unbelievable. You know, it's just, you know, when you're a manager, you've got to do inspirational speeches, inspirational talks. You got to look these players in the eye and take them on that journey. You know what I mean, and believe in everything the manager's saying. Sometimes you might bluff, but just get them players believing in you. And we used to come out of the tunnel at Ellen Road and start scratching our head. You know, like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
You know, like, we played Watford at home with about 6 games to go, and we were getting beat 1-0. And he left me out, and then he brought me on after about 70 minutes, and I ended up scoring a penalty, scoring the winner after about 88 minutes. And after the game, he come in, he looked at me and went, "Thanks for that." And I was like, "Fucking thanks what? You know, it's my job.
Yeah.
You know, that's what I get paid to do."
Way to congratulate him. Thanks for
that. And luckily, there was 3 lads with me. We were just chatting afterwards, and they were like, "You know, how random's that? Like, what you know, how weird."
Yeah.
But it just is. It's poor. Listen, to be fair, he's done well. He's followed Warnock everywhere, and Warnock's been a success wherever he's won. And good luck to him. I've got no problem with that. I can only give you my honest view about somebody. And he must have woke up every morning and pinched himself that he was managing that club.
Yeah. A massive, massive club.
Yeah.
Oh.
No matter how far they went, and they did the next season. It was the season after, wasn't it? Straight after the final and down to League One, which is mad. Well, so how was that? Was he responsible?
No, I think no. Listen, I don't think you can ever say the manager is the full blame.
Yeah,
but he didn't have the players. He didn't have them on side. Mm-hmm. So that is his responsibility to an extent. Once you go over the line, it goes back to the quality of the player or whatever. But we just there was so much unhappiness at the football club. That was off the field, on the field. It was so unhappy, and which was a shame because it is an amazing football club. No, you might. Sorry, I thought Nicholas was the Man United fan. Was it you, Josh? No. So, yeah, sorry, buddy. Sorry for that. But, no,
you said I've got Derby on me top of me.
I didn't want to say anything there, but I was just. No, they're just such a fantastic football club, and it's good. To be fair, you probably like it now, Joshua. You got that rivalry again, but Leeds United genuinely need to be in the Premier League, don't they? You know, if you're a football fan or a neutral, Leeds United deserve to be in the Premier League. So, you know, it's such an amazing club, and you do get pelters there, by the way. You know, but they do stick with you as well. Which I mean, luckily for me, wherever I went to football club, I didn't really have that much hate of home fans towards me. Mm-hmm. So I was quite fortunate in that respect. So, but yeah, just an amazing football club, and you know, we should have went up automatic that year. Yeah. But when you looked at the Watford team was pretty good though.
Yeah.
They had a lot of good players in that team. So, but yeah, and I will tell you the story though. I was on the back of the bus after the game, and I was on the back of the bus going, "Fuck, you know, fucking Kevin Blackwell." You know, what we've got four centre forwards, and he doesn't even play a centre forward. He plays Matt Kilgallen wide wing back on the left when he's a centre half. He played Fraser Richardson wide right wing back. He's just a full back.
Yeah.
And no, you know, I'm saying this, but obviously one of the players has grasped me up.
Oh no.
Yeah. So when I've come in on the first day of pre-season, the next pre-season, he got me in his office and he said, "I've heard what you've been saying." I said, "What do you mean?" He said, "I've heard what you've been saying after the game on the bus." He says, "I could hear you saying," which he couldn't hear me because he wasn't even on the fucking bus. He said, I can hear you saying I'm the worst manager you've ever worked under. I went, "Yeah, you are." So, "You want me to be honest?" "Yeah, you are." I says, "You bought me for that amount of money. You've put me here, there and everywhere. Not put me down in my proper position. And you expect me to do all this?" I said, "You are the worst manager." And he just looked at me and went, "Listen," he said, "I don't care if we lose 10 games on the spin. I'm going to make you rot."
Really?
But he said, "I'm going to have you in more." He said, "I'm going to have you in morning and afternoon you're going to go with, I think his name was Dean Riddle, who was a fitness coach. He said, you're going to do cycling, swimming and running. So he's giving me triathlons in the afternoon.
Jesus.
He said, I'm going to make you rot. And anyway, they lost about, I think, the first 10 games. I think we lost 7, won 1 and drew 2. And then he got the sack. We played Sheffield Wednesday live on Sky, like on an early kickoff.
Yeah.
And I was sat in the dugout because he obviously Ken Bates was a manager. He must have said, whatever you're doing, we got to show that we're paying, you know, you need to have him on a bench on him. You know what I mean? Or he might have been saying to Ken, yeah, he's just on the bench, but he's not playing well at the minute. And I was just sat like that at the back in the dugout. And the cameras come on him because obviously he was under pressure at the time. And he's turned round to me and gone, go on, fucking look unhappy, you fucking. And I'm going. So obviously I didn't, you know, I was just. And then obviously after that game, he got the sack. Now, you don't want to see anyone get the sack in terms of that, but I did a few cartwheels and I can't even do a cartwheel.
Yeah, it sounds quite a vindictive bloke.
Listen, I might have done things to piss him off. Got no problem with that. And I probably did. But we just, we didn't see eye to eye. And he just wasn't a good coach because there's other managers I've been under that didn't, like Steve Cottrell, didn't have that much of a great relationship, but he was a very good manager.
Yeah.
You know, so it wasn't like a personal vendetta again. I met him when I was at Doncaster when I was finishing my career. I met him. He was the manager of Bury. We shook hands in the tunnel and said, "Listen." I said, "Listen, I've probably said a few things I shouldn't have said. So listen, it's all under the water now, and just move on." But he's just. I can only be honest with you guys. You know, there's no point in not.
No, definitely.
That's good though, then, because you can say, "Look, Kevin, we're a shit manager," but you've got that respect for Steve, even though you didn't get on. You even thought he was a great manager. So
he was a very, very good manager. Nicholas, he was a very good manager. And some of Steve's little bad traits as a manager stopped him from going on and being miles better. You know, just little things. But he in terms of a tactically aware, he'd change it up. He'd do little things, and he was very, very good.
I think he did well. Cottrell specifically with the transfers he brought in as well, because he didn't have. He didn't have money really, but he got he almost brought all the players in that went up. Yeah, exactly. You know, you got the best bit of business he did for me. I don't know if you were there when you were there, Robbie. We had a centre half called Wayne Thomas. No, he just come just after I left. Yeah, he'd come in he came in with like Addy, didn't he? Addy Akinbaye, didn't he? Yeah, that and Gifton Noel Williams around that time, wasn't it? That's it. And he was like. Steve flew out to Florida to meet him, to beg it. He was out of contract at Stoke and he was trying to win him. And he was like our big summer signing. And he was terrible for Burnley. I know he'd done a good job at Stoke, but I think he played about 20 games and got sent off 5 times. Genuinely. It just didn't work out. And fans were on his back and all this. And somehow, and I've no idea how, Cottrell sold him to George Burley at Southampton for 1.2 million. Yeah, I remember that, yeah. And then we signed Clarkey for 200 grand to replace him. Yeah. I mean... Yeah. No, he signed Elliott, Duff, obviously myself, but obviously he signed all the players. Really, did he sign Greza? Not too sure whether he signed Greza. Yeah, he signed Greza. Yeah. So all these players really. They did a very good job with transfers, and going back to that, obviously Leeds relegated. He did sign you again. We went over how you were feeling. I suppose a bit apprehensive at first, but were you excited to come back then? In general, getting out of that environment at Leeds. Yeah, like I said to you, but that could have been a really good environment. But like obviously, when I'd spoken to Dennis Wise, he said, "Listen, we're going through a lot of problems. We need to sell you. Basically, we're going to go into administration, and it's all going to go." So, which to be fair, I was happy. I had another couple of options to go, but I wanted to go back to Burnley, and I knew it was unfinished. I know it's like all corny words, but it was unfinished business. Yeah, and I knew I'd had such a rough time at Leeds that I knew there was still plenty in the locker. And you know that I just wanted to go back and just show you really that, you know, not the love for the club and the supporters. It was just, you know, we had such great times, and I knew we could have even better times, and obviously we went on to have that. Definitely. Speak of the devil, I suppose, when we're talking about better times. Obviously, Steve Cottrell did lose his job, and in came Owen Coyle. As a Burnley fan, like I say, since '92 was my first game. That, and I've seen the club, which is mental to say, be promoted 4 times to the Premier League. I still, 3 times even. I added one. Yeah. That's still my favourite ever season as a Burnley fan. because it was just totally out of the blue to us.
Yeah, and it's new as well, Luke, isn't it? It's like,
and it's the best way to go up.
Yeah, and it's new as well, isn't it? It's like, you know, Burnley's first ever Premier League, you know, season. It just sounds better than going back up, you know what I mean, and going down, then going back up, and then obviously sustaining, which is great what they've done.
Yeah.
But it's probably just relevant for the supporters of like, oh God, we're in the Premier League. You know, I would have thought that.
Exactly.
You know, but in reality, we had a good team, didn't we? So.
Yeah, that's really what I was going to ask, because I mean, we had great players. He spent well that summer getting Pato in and Chris Eagles and
Fletcher.
Well, in fact, I will ask, because you could end a mystery that all Burnley fans have had for going on 12 years now. What was the deal with Remco van der Schaaf?
Well, I don't know.
The players didn't know either.
No. The deal was that he probably just turned up. He was shit and he went back home.
That's fine, except we had him for 3 years.
No. Remco was a good lad. He's actually a very good player, you know.
Yeah.
But he had niggling injuries, and then he had a little bit of a fallout with Coyley. And to be fair, we had a good team, didn't we? You know, like the midfield was packed. It was just a great balance. We had Chrissy McCann balanced on the left foot, who could bomb forward. We had Wade Elliott balanced on the right foot, go forward. We had Greza sitting, protected and playing forward passes.
Yeah.
And then we had a little bit of diversity up front with pace, trickery, and a finisher. So we were really, like, when you look at it, we were a very good team.
It was like an unorthodox formation is what I like too, because you had like yourself like playing like tucked in off the left, Pato through the middle, Tomo playing like just behind Pato as a target man.
Yeah.
Wade, right winger his whole career, but he played in like a central midfield role.
He was bombing on money. Yeah. You know, he almost used to say to us, "It's 5-5, back four and Greza, and use 5, go and cause havoc."
Did the players think that you had a shot then that summer? Before
we always knew. Yeah, we had it in a belief that we knew. It was just, I don't know, when we got beaten in the semi-finals against Spurs, it was really weird because we had about a 30-second flatness, and then it was like we were all in the dressing room after the game, and it was like, right, the only one way we've got to do now is we're going to win the playoff final, because we couldn't catch the top 2.
Yeah.
But after Christmas, our form was in 1 or 2 positions, wasn't it? I think.
Yeah.
I think we had the form to be first or second.
Yeah.
So we knew that we were saying Sheffield United, we've beat them. And then we beat them later on in the season, didn't we, on Sky, I think 2-0.
Yeah.
And that's, you know, we turned them over. We just got to get past Reading because we knew it was going to be a tough game. And that's, you know, we fancied us against Preston or Sheffield United. And I think I'm really good friends with Matt Kilgallen. He said to me, Blake, he said before the game, not that you were like this sort of team, but we were all petrified. You know, because you turned us over at home 3-1, and you give us a beating at home 2-0.
Yeah.
And we thought, we don't know whether we can beat this team. Well, we were just on a crest then, you know what I mean? I mean, Pat will score that worldie, and then Tom will score a worldie at Reading. You know, they're just goals that don't not happen normally, did they?
Even Wade's in the final, they were all, the playoff goals are all just.
I mean, even the penalty at home's not a penalty against me, is it?
You did a great acting though.
Oh, honestly. I'll tell you what, I was straight down that tunnel when I seen him take the shirt off, though.
Did BK mention it when he joined the club?
No, it was a funny story, right? So when he signed for us, that the summer we went up, remember that after he signed?
Yeah.
Well, I had my peg, you know what I mean? Yeah, you should have it like in your change and you're not normal. And then the lad said, "Oh yeah, that's free. That peg's free." So when I walked in, Big BK sat there, and I was like, "That's my seat. Can you move?" And he's like, "Oh, it's all going off," and the lads would pull the shirts off and throw it on the floor. Yeah, but it was funny actually. But no, he was a great lad. He was a great lad. Good player as well.
He was a good player. One of the things I've got to mention, you did touch on that game, Robbie, against Spurs in the semi. I actually missed this game because I was getting hammered in Prague, and when at the time we'd lost the first leg.
That's not a bad thing, is it?
Nah. Well, at the time we'd lost the first leg 4-1.
4-1, yeah. We went 1-0 up as well.
yeah. And I'll be honest. You know, I had a lot of faith in you guys that season, but it were a lot to bring round. I actually missed the first sort of half of that game because we were out. You know, I was like, if we see it on somewhere, I'll watch it. And then I saw winning 2-0. Obviously, I watched the end of it until Pavlyuchenko broke my heart. But I have to say, for me, and I want to get your opinion, that's the best individual performance you ever made for Burnley. I thought, I mean, Burnley fans mention that a lot when we talk about Robbie Blake. That game against Spurs, you were like a man possessed. Do you feel that way too? Was that the best you put out, do you think?
Yeah, I think it was. Yeah, it's probably the best I think I've played. It's probably actually. I think it's probably my best performance I've ever made.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was because it was. I don't know, just one of them nights where you try the free kick and it go. The wind was blowing, a gale. It was blitzing everywhere, and I just thought, you know what, I'm just going to try and get it on target. The pitch is wet, the gloves are wet, the ball's wet. Just have a go, and then obviously, just as I've hit it, there's just been a big gust of wind as well. You know what I mean? So then it was just there was rocking. You know, they were rocking, and we had our tails up a little bit, and then we managed to get the second goal, and you could just see the whole team. They were just out on the feet. You know, they were just desperate for that final whistle because, let's be fair, us beating them 3-0 at home is possibly it might have been the biggest result in history, having a Premier League team with Bale, Pavlyuchenko, Defoe, Woodgate, Dawson. You know, all these players were playing.
Yeah.
And to have all them players, if we'd have beat them, it's different if we'd have won 2-0 at home and then they've got to go to White Hart Lane and we're hanging on. But to actually be beating us by 4-1, and for us in a low championship team to do what we did to them, that would have been one of the biggest upsets in the context in history. Yeah. So you could just sense the anxiety and everything in them. And, you know, just, I still go over it now. I think, fuck, how did they score that goal? You know, because it come from nowhere.
They did. You're right, edge at box. Just
I always blame Beastie saying fucking chocolate fingers. No, it was an incredible night. You know what I mean? And I think that was one of the defining nights of that season that everyone started to believe, you know what, we can actually do something this year.
Yeah. Was that's how the fans kind of saw it, Robbie, because we weren't necessarily a young team. I think you were like 33, maybe. Yeah. Greza were fucking 50.
36, 36 or something. Yeah, no, you're right.
And it felt like the last, it was like a band of brothers, like last chance saloon for glory. I think when it was stripped away that night, it was like, from a fan's perspective, I think even the fans felt the same. It's like, right, we'll fucking go up then now.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's what we had. We had a conversation straight after, about 30 seconds of disappointment. Yeah. Gaffer spoke, and then we said, right, let's go and win the playoff final. And we did. That actually was a genuine conversation between about 6 or 7 of the senior players. Right, you know what we've got to do now? We just got to go and win the playoff final. And we did. And do you know what? Honestly, probably touch on that later on. 100% I knew we were winning that game.
Yeah.
100%.
My dad's always said that as well because of the way that Kevin Blackwell looked when he were in the studio watching us against Reading.
Yeah, no, he was petrified, honestly.
He was sat like this, like he didn't want to play us. You could tell.
No, it was so surreal as well. When we were in the hotel before the game, we were like, oh, God, we're going to go to Newcastle next season and we're going to... Not one of us went, whoa, we haven't even won the game yet. It was just like we had it in us, honestly, genuinely. But we knew, when we lined up in that tunnel, we knew we were going to win, seriously. And it's hard to describe that, boys, but honestly, trust me, that's no bullshit. What I'm saying is we knew that we were going to win that game.
It came across on the pitch. I mean, obviously, we'll go through the game, but obviously, Wade scores a terrific goal. But if you watch that match back, like, you go so close. You were like coming into the box and then you're curling it into the far right corner. And I think it was blocked on the line. Johnson.
The one was Kyle Walker gave me 30 yards and still beat me by 10 to get back.
Quick lad, though, isn't
he? The ball's gone down the right. Tom was in, and he's just stopped. Walker obviously thought he was offside, and he wasn't offside. And I've gone. So I'm a good 15, 20 yards in front of him, and he's come from nowhere. But you know what goes through my head, Luke, now, all the time? And sometimes I'm laying in bed and go, why the fuck didn't I just chop it and fucking just pat it in? But, you know, it's you know, because that's what sometimes I'd normally do that, wouldn't I?
Yeah.
You know, I'd see him diving and the keeper diving across, just chop it back and just slide it in. But it's one of them split-second things you do.
I was sat at Wembley basically directly behind you when he had that shot. For all world, I thought it were in.
I couldn't believe it. It was a great block, but it was poor from me, really. It should have scored.
The other thing with that game is I can't even think of a chance Sheffield United had. They did have a damn good penalty shout. Putting that aside, you know, like you say, you could tell you had that belief and Sheffield didn't have it. What was the day like in general for the players? What was it like after the match? The feeling? How is it?
I just think it's so hard to describe, lads, but it's just incredible. You know, the euphoria you go through and the feelings. You have like out-of-body experiences, you know, when you see all the crowd.
Yeah.
it's just something you can't. It's very hard to describe. Only you can have that feeling of like, wow.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And you're just happy. Everyone's happy. And not only the players. You can, when you look into the stand, you see your family celebrating. There's all like, you see all the supporters, even people who are not even together, hugging each other and can't believe it. And it's just, it's an amazing, special feeling that, one that you're so proud to have been a part of. It's just, but it's, yeah, I mean, like you say, it's the best. If you don't win the league, it's the best way of going up. The hardest part, but it's the best way in terms of the emotion. Because when you finish second, you're happy, you're great. You get runners up, but you don't have that feeling of playing in front of 80,000 at Wembley and getting a players playoff medal. And it's you don't get a bus ride, do you, for second?
That's it.
Well, you very rarely don't. But
it's my favourite promotion, and I know most Burnley fans feel the same. We've won league, we've finished second, we've gone up for playoffs from Championship.
Yeah, it's definitely 100% my highlight of
the anxiety around it, and the fact that it's all or nothing. It can't be beaten. And one thing I've got to ask, Robbie, from that game, you obviously did your little jig across the pitch and your bad beat bobs, and we have had a question on this from Claret Burns. He said, "Do you still own the bad beat bobs? You famously
still got them, mate. Still got them.
You still got them?
I haven't got them on. If you told me, I would put them on. Yeah. But I don't. Is it after 10 yet? I don't think it is. So. I've still got them, lads. They're the memories you take. I always remember we were playing Coventry when I was going through a bit of a bad spell. Like I wasn't playing particularly well, and Coyley left me out a couple of games. We were on the bus, and we got on the bus, and Clark, he said to me, "Lex, if I buy you something, if I get you a present, will you wear it at Coventry?" I was like, "Well, it depends what it is." I was like, you got to say yes or no before you see it. You know what I'm like? I said, "Yeah, go on then." Okay.
Could have been a strap on.
Well, size of man, you probably would have been happy with that. And so I said, "Yeah, no problem, go on then, yeah." And so anyway, I go in and I see these bright red pants. I said, "Clark, you fucking having a laugh?" He said, "Bob, come on." He used to call me Bob. He said, "Come on, Bob. It's just a bit of banter, you know what I mean? Get the lads going, and if you score, pull your kicks down." I went, "Fucking, I'm on the bench." So he said, "You come on. You're bound to come on, and if you do, just." So I was only on about 5 minutes. Boom, ball got that. I think Eagles played me in. I remember beating the keeper, and that was it. Stevie Jordan was sub at the time, and he came down, started trying to pull my shorts down. I was like, "Not too far, I'll get booked." And then it just started from there. And the lads were like, "You got to keep doing it now." And then, to be fair, I think I went on a decent amount of goals on the run of games as well. So it all just added to that full season. Do you know what I mean? It's just crazy.
Just look, as an outsider looking in, even I got the feeling that you were such a sort of collective team and had a great team spirit. Like I can remember, were it Mike Duff who were dancing before you went up?
Yeah, doing that. Yeah, before they received the trophy.
Is that? Had he practiced that? Is that?
He used to do it all the time. No, he used to do it like after games. When we'd won all, we were like, "Come on, Duffo, put the music on." We put the tune on. Obviously, we didn't have the tunes at the time, but he just thought he'd just throw it out. But yeah, we just listen. We had good players, but we had also like characters, and then we also had like the characters, like I'm not saying like myself and people like that, but then we had the professionalisms of Grezza and people like that.
Yeah,
and then you had the Clark Carlyles of the world. It was just, but no, he was. We just had great characters, and we all just gelled as a team.
Great. So then, what comes after winning the playoff final? You get in the Premier League. First home game, Man United, and I don't know how many times I've seen that goal as a United fan. Too many, but no, what a hit that is, and what a moment! Crowd goes wild, and that sort of Burnley are in the Premier League, sort of welcome moment. Is that your favourite goal? I'd say.
I think Josh. I think with everything in ties in it, beating the champions elect and first Premier League goal against Man United and at home.
Yeah,
it's just fairy tale, isn't it? Who'd have thought that would have beat Man United 1-0? It's just incredible, but. Just great moments, and it's just so great to be part of that history with the club. That we know that we've given enjoyment to the fans because they've deserved it. You know what I mean? So, just incredible. I mean, the thing is, though, I scored that goal, but I could have easily been the villain because I give a penalty away about 10 minutes later.
Yeah,
and this is what I'm going back to early on in the meeting when I said, Brian Jensen makes a great save from a penalty, which my goal stands then as being the best moment. But in reality, a lot of that sort of result should go to Beastie as well because of what he did. So, that's just me being honest because that's facts. But, to be part of the moment, to beat them. And listen, I am a Man United fan in terms of as a football club, how they are and what they are. I think you've got a dummy of a manager at the moment, but that's something we don't need to speak about. But as a club, you're such a great club, and luckily for me, I scored that goal. Yeah. But you went on to win the league, so I was happy with that. And I think if you knew that beforehand, you'd have been happy with Burnley winning, wouldn't you? 1-0.
Yeah. At the time, I was wondering why Michael Carrick stepping up for a penalty when Michael.
Yeah, and Rooney was on there, and Rooney was on.
But
Giggs goal, I think.
Yeah.
Carrick did. He could strike a ball, couldn't he?
Man, trust me, he was a fantastic player. So
no, it were looking back now, like you say, we went on to win the league and whatever. It's a great moment, and I still think if people think of Burnley, they still think of that moment. That really was this is well.
You're beating the champions and you're beating a team like imagine people on their coupons and big thing. It was going round at Burnley that I had £1,000 on myself to score the first goal and win 1-0. I mean, I wish, but I'd imagine what price that would have been, about 200, 300 to 1 or something. So no, but I mean, it was just fairy tales, like you say, and great memories and I think it's always nice to look back on them because lads, you'll have that, when you've been successful in something or in any walk of life, you'd always go back to them happy times, don't you? Yeah. When you need them every now and then. And so for me to go back to that is obviously quite fortunate to have.
Yeah, you certainly wouldn't get a penalty away if you had a grand on 1-0 and you to
yeah, no. Yeah, I certainly wouldn't have 2-footed ever, that's for sure.
So yeah, just got to ask as well. Owen Coyle done so much for Burnley, and then he leaves to a rival. And how did that feel at the time? I know Luke spoke about it at length to me, but how did the players feel? Did you see it coming? Would he have kept Burnley up?
Oh, 100% we'd have stayed up. I'm not saying we'd have finished 10th, but we'd have stayed up.
Yeah.
Listen, we had the worst run with arguably the worst manager. That I think we only got relegated with about 3 games to go. Might have even been less than that, and we hardly picked up points. We would have definitely stayed up 100%, in my opinion. Anyway, I think we had that togetherness. Coyley was just a bluffer. I don't mean that rude to him. He was, the first ever time I ever met Coyley, we were training at Gawthorpe, and he said, I've spoke to Alan Thompson. Remember the ex-Celtic left winger? Yeah. He says, Tomo's just told me to get you the ball and you'll do all the magic. I said, all right. I said, that's nice of Tomo. So anyway, I played with Tomo with Leeds. He came to Leeds for a spell. So I rang him and said, Tomo, geez, mate, thanks for the little kind regards of, the words to Coyley. He went, well, he said, I haven't spoken to Coyley for about 4 years. But that was just Coyley. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
He had you thinking, like we were stood in the tunnel, genuinely, against Man United. And we thought we were Man United and we were playing Burnley. He made us feel like that. Even though we weren't, you're talking about a level of play that, you weren't at that level. Yeah. But he made you go in the tunnel thinking that you were at that level.
Yeah.
And that's why we done well under him, because even on that Wednesday, I think it was a Wednesday night, wasn't it? We beat Man U.
Yeah.
We had Everton at home on a Saturday and people were going, I remember watching Soccer Saturday. That was their fluke to be tired. They'll get heavily beaten today against Everton. We beat them 2-1.
Yeah.
Because he had that belief in us. Even when we were having meetings on the training pitch on a Friday afternoon, he was talking us. I felt like I was Wayne Rooney. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's so strange. But even though I'm not, and I'm nowhere near as good as that, I felt like it.
Yeah.
And that's what he had. He was a bluffer. And that's why I'm saying there's all sorts of managers you have. You can have the really tactical in-house and great on set pieces, and then you can have a bluffer that does everything off the cuff, has Krispy Kreme donuts on a Friday, and you get promoted.
And that's kind of how fans perceive it looking back as well, Rob, because, like I say, a lot of water's passed under the bridge now. He actually came to, club did like a 10-year anniversary thing.
Yeah.
Owen turned up, which was crazy because no one expected him to. No one had blamed him not to. And he got a mixed response. But end of the day, that to me was the point where I'm like, listen to me, Dad.
Just move
he got
on.
us promoted to the Premier League. He relegated Blackburn, and he's turned up here. What more can be done? I shook his hand and said thanks for one of the best days of my life.
Yeah, and that's nice you've done that. Yeah.
That's the way to look at it now, looking back. And I bet Owen Coyle regrets it, probably.
Yeah, but he wasn't a bad guy, you know what I mean? He wasn't a bad guy. He was a bit of a bluffer. You couldn't believe some of the things he would say. That's what I'm saying. But I was so surprised that he didn't go to Celtic.
Yeah, because that was being rumoured after the game, wasn't it?
Yeah, well, by all accounts, I don't know, but apparently he didn't really celebrate with us after the game.
Right.
And I don't know, word got about that he might have met the bigwigs of Celtic that night.
Right.
So I don't know, but that was what was circulating. And obviously, once he had the record of Bolton of what he had as a player, we still felt relatively confident that he would stay with us until the end of the season.
Yeah.
And that's what disappointed us, because he should have stayed till the end of the season, and then because I think Bolton would have, I think his stock would have got higher, because I think he would have kept us up.
And the fans would have been happy with that too, Robbie, because we're not idiots. We know Burnley were a small fry.
It's life, isn't it? I
think it was just the time in January.
Yeah, it was poor time.
Yeah, and then I'm sorry, probably, like I say, he did kind of speak with a slight bit of regret about that, and fair play to him, in my opinion.
And then we got Brian Laws in.
Well, that's what we're coming on to, mate. So I have to just give my honest assessment of this, and I know that as a fan base, I'm speaking for most Burnley fans here. My reaction when I saw that on the ticker tape on Sky literally was, "What the fuck is this?" What?
Well, that was. Let me just tell you. That was the reaction in the fucking dressing room.
What, in your opinion, this might sound brutal, but I have to ask: did we throw the towel in there and then with that?
No, we didn't throw the towel in.
I don't mean the players. I mean the club.
Oh yeah, that was building for next year. It was 100%. It was just. So I've got a few stories like I can say, like when we were at. When you know the obviously the Jimmy McIlroy stand, we had the last window on the end box where we used to have our dinner, breakfast, dinner, and all that after training sessions and stuff.
Yeah.
So we were going out. We were all just about to go out. Lads had finished their stuff, and then I was walking out down the steps with Russ Wilcox, who was the assistant then. Mm-hmm. So anyway, we start doing a warm up. So we do like a couple of laps around the turf, and then we start stretching off in the goal mouth so we just start stretching. So Russ Wilcox walks over to me and goes, "So then, Blakey, what's the Premier League all about then?" He said, "I've only been watching League Two and League Two and League One on a Saturday night."
Yeah.
And then we took off again. I said to Duffo and them, "Yeah, fucking guess what he said to me?" Yeah. They were like, "No, you're joking." I said, "No." And then we played Man United that weekend. So they came in on the Tuesday. We played Man United on that weekend, and he was undecided about the team. So he played me and Chris Eagles in a 12v11 game. So we had
to decide which of you he wanted.
Yeah, we had two left wingers playing.
Wow, it was some logic in that somewhere. Maybe.
Yeah, instead of just switching us over and then rotating after a bit, he had 12v11. I thought we're in trouble.
Yeah. He always came across, you might correct me, like fan perspective, like a decent guy, like a but maybe that was not what that squad needed then.
He was a decent guy. He was just a bit wet. Do you know what I mean?
Like if we'd pushed the button, I don't know who was available then. I know Steve Coppell was linked with it. A couple of others maybe.
Look, and I don't mean it disrespectful to the guy, but anybody else.
Yeah.
And you know why he only got that, don't you? Well, I know he played for the club previous.
Yeah.
But if you remember, we got beat 3-1 at home against Sheffield Wednesday. And we got beat 3-0 away on the first game of the season, or 3-1, can't remember.
Yeah.
And Leon Clark scored a hat-trick, remember?
Yeah.
And that's probably why we got the job. Because the board probably watched and thought, oh, they were the only team that really cut us open.
Yeah.
But he's just, like Man City, we played Man City on Sky.
Remember it?
I think we were getting beef. Was it 4-0 or 5-0?
I think it was
5-1.
We lost 6-1, but it was 5-0 at half time.
5-0 at half time, right? So we come in the dressing room, and he goes, "Fucking hell, I've set you out this, to do that. You're not even doing it." He said the only two players that can come out with a bit of credit is you, and that was me and Kev McDonald, right? So then he goes on 5 minutes later and he goes, "Right, I want to make 2 changes. You're coming off, and you're coming off." He brought me and him off.
Well, I remember Kev McDonald coming off because there were a lot of talk. He apparently went
Yeah,
he went in the pub, didn't he? Straight after the second half.
This sums him up, right? So we used to partner on the back. So I've come out with home team dressing room, and I've gone left. I said, fuck it, I'm going home. Fuck this, I've had enough. So I've gone home, got on my car, drove home. I was home before the last kick of the game. Yeah. So on the Monday we come in, he goes, we had a team meeting. He goes, you're a disgrace to Kev. He goes, and Lim, look at him, 33, 34, model professional, stays around, watches the game, and he'd be more disappointed than anybody because he was the best player for us in the first half. And all the lads start laughing. You know what I mean? And that was him. That was him. But he used to say to Fletch and all him, the chief, like used to say, Robbie's not fit. He's not fit. He's missed 3 days training and all that. It's unbelievable. That's why I left.
Yeah.
That's why I left. I said, so anyway, so I had Brendan Flood rings me. He says, Robbie, listen, we were just going to try and talk through this. So I met him at the Worsley Marriott. Mm-hmm. So I'm there with my agent. I said, listen, Brendan, with the greatest respect to you, my love for the club is always going to be here. But I can't physically stay around with him in charge. I said, I'm not going to play, and there's no point in me being at the club. And he was like, well, I said, trust me, Brendan, you've made a decision to bring him in. I'll guarantee you, whether you come down and you go straight back up, you're not going straight back up. You will not get you promoted from the Championship back into the Premier League, even with the players you might have. You won't get you there. And he obviously sent me a message saying, yeah, you were right, but I just couldn't. He was telling so many lies. It was difficult to go in training. Like, I mean, I was playing against the lads who were playing in the 11, and I was, sort of making some of them look a bit stupid, but I still wouldn't play. He just kept on saying I was injured and I was out of, I just thought, if he's going to still be in charge, I can't take another year of that. I might as well go and play with Coyle at Bolton. That's it. Yeah. And that's the truth. It was just horrible. And then that's a resentment. I wish I'd have stayed because I probably would have been there as a coach now.
Yeah, quite possibly. I mean, it was a sad ending because, like, at the time, certainly for a couple of years after, that kind of hung like a shadow over the club, that whole era, from Coyle leaving that period, and which was a shame because it's great now because we can look back and watch the goals on YouTube, remember that season, and the first half of the Premier League season. We had some great results, some great performances. I remember it was just the football we played because I remember going to Upton Park and we got battered. Really, I think 5-3. But the football we were playing were ridiculous. We just tried to outscore the opposition. It was great to watch, and it's a shame how it ended. But I think the writing was on the wall when.
I always remember the Tottenham game right at the end when all the supporters. I couldn't believe it, and do you know what? I had peace then. It's really strange, but I knew I was leaving. But I had peace because I thought, you know what? Because they were almost nailing laws and then singing Robbie Blake's Blue and White Army. I remember it. So, and it was going on for about 10 minutes towards the end of the game. And then
I remember when we done a sub, didn't you?
Yeah, and when we done the lap of honour, it was like the support of the fans was like incredible, and I was like, I'm at peace now because they know I've come back. We've had a great time, and if Robbie goes now, because obviously there'd been time then when my contract was up, so everyone knew my contract was up. I hadn't negotiated another contract. It just felt like I was at peace with it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it was a great moment, but it was incredible times.
Definitely. And since hanging up the boots, Robbie, we have to obviously touch on it. You obviously coached for a little bit at Portsmouth, but you're now at Bognor Regis. But what's that change been like for you? Are you enjoying it? Obviously, how's COVID impacted it as well?
I've loved it. I had a great time with Cookie at Portsmouth, Paul Cook, obviously one of our ex-players, and then I was there with Kenny. But listen, football's mad, and when you're not part of someone else's plans, they want to get rid of you, don't they? So that's what happened there. And then, I'm having a great time. We just need that chance, Luke. You need that chance to try and get back in the league scene and hopefully, just get that opportunity. But it's difficult. And obviously we've had the pandemic for our football, which has absolutely killed it. So, but obviously there's more important things than football, isn't there? There's life and family and people who are sadly passing away. So we've got to be put it in perspective. But, I'm loving it. I love it. Absolutely love it. And, I always feel, if you can give something back to something that's been really prevalent in your life, then why not do that?
No, it's class.
Right, Robbie, if you don't mind, the last thing we like to finish on with our guests is just a quick 5-question quiz, all about your career, if you're up for it. So it's called the Tommy Lee Pro 5 quiz. Former Chesterfield goalkeeper Tommy Lee was the first to get 5 out of 5, so you got the naming right. So we'll go straight into it. So number 1, you scored an unbelievable 167 goals throughout your career. How many of those goals came in your 100 Premier League appearances? So how many Premier League goals did you score?
7.
11. You've done yourself out of a few there.
Well, you know, I was shit really, wasn't I?
I don't know, 1 in 10 in Prem. More than 1.
Yeah, I know, but come on.
Hey, they were good goals, Robbie. Blackburn,
I know, but
United.
Goals.
The quality, not the quantity, mate.
Yeah. Hey, look, I'm glad you're on this podcast to tell you that now.
Straight in, number 2, you received 1 red card in your career, certainly from the which I could find. Who was it against?
Portsmouth.
It was Portsmouth for Bradford. Was it last game of the season? 3rd of May.
Last game of the season, yeah. That was a killer, that was. So I missed the first 3. I missed the first 3 games, and then, you know, we started quite well. That was the year we actually went up.
Yeah.
So I didn't get into the team till about 12 or 13 games in.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so it was a massive, that's why, even though my stats probably don't back it up, I was only on the bench. So I actually,
And was it a red card? We like to ask his guests.
No, I didn't touch him, basically. I didn't know. Basically, I went back at him, and the lad fouled me, and he sort of grabbed my ankle, and I sort of pushed him away, said, get off, like that. And then I didn't touch him. He didn't go down or faint or anything. The referee went to me, you can't raise your leg in front of the main stand, you're off. So, I was off. Didn't touch him or anything like that. Just, you know, you shrug someone's leg to say, get off.
Yeah.
But
obviously, I mean, 1 red card in a fairly long career, you're not a dirty.
Josh, I wasn't really the most aggressive, as you
that's
imagine.
what I'm saying. That's what I mean. I think
if you've not known, a lot of people used to bounce off me.
Right, well, question 3, Luke's already answered it in an earlier question, so we'll see if you're listening. So your most prolific goal scoring season was 2003-04 for Burnley. How many goals did you score? And to make
22.
It is 22. It was a choice of 3, but yeah, it was 22.
Do you know what? Honestly, I'm not defending. Look, I would have got that.
Would you?
Yeah.
Are you big on stats, Robbie? Would you sort of know how many?
He didn't know how many Premier League goals he scored, Josh, so he's not massive.
No. Cheers, Nicholas. Thanks for that. Yeah. No, I wasn't, because my job, while I played in them positions, I don't think I was in the team to score all the time. You know, like a proper number 9.
Yeah.
So, you know, I was more in to assist, obviously to chip in. I mean, I probably thought the way I played as a player, if I could get around the 15 mark, I'd be happy with that, because I'd be up there with a 7 or 8 assists or something like that. So, yeah. But no, I mean, obviously stats are nice to look at, and obviously it's nice to score, but my stats were not the best, to be honest. I don't think so.
I'd take him, mate, if I were
Very good. Mate.
No, and I accept that, but I'm on about just...
No. Number 4, which teammate did you make the most appearances alongside in your career? Brian Jensen, Wade Elliott, or Graham Alexander? And there's one that's 2 are really close and one a bit further out.
Well, I'd say Greza would be the last one, so I'll say Brian Jensen.
It is Brian Jensen, 170, Graham Alexander, 134, and Wade Elliott, 130.
Oh, so I was wrong. It was Elliott was the last one, was he?
No, he was Wade Elliott.
Yeah, so Greza was second.
Yeah. But yeah, them 2 were close, and then.
Hey, I'm not doing too bad here, lads.
No. Brian Jensen, obviously the beast. What was he like? 'Cause he was quite a sort of cult hero as well.
Yeah, no, rightly so. He was brilliant for the football club. Great character, great goalkeeper. Just an all-round good egg. You know what I mean? Really good around the dressing room. Great lad, but a fantastic keeper, and one that you're always like. I suppose it's like a number 9, isn't it? You're always looking for your centre forward to score. You're always looking for Beastie just to make them point blank saves, and he used to do it. To be fair, more times than not, there was plenty of games that I spoke about earlier on that he kept us in the game. So he was a fantastic player, and rightly so. He's held in high regard by the supporters.
Yeah, terrific in promotion season, especially.
Yeah.
And finally, question 5. Who was your favourite opponent? And by that I mean, which club did you score the most goals against?
Oh, God.
I've got a choice of 3 if you need them.
Go on.
It's Preston, Coventry or Watford.
Right. I'd have to say it's Preston.
It is Preston.
Yeah, just purely on the back of, I don't think I'd played that many games against Coventry. I can't really recall that. Watford, yeah, maybe, but yeah, Preston. I used to always score against them.
Just another reason we loved you, Robbie, to be fair. The amount of free kicks you scored against Preston.
Do you know what? I remember, Coyley left me out of the game. Remember the live on Sky?
At Deepdale.
Yeah, he left me out, and then obviously he brought me on after about 60 minutes.
Stunning.
And I was only being on about 2 minutes, and I scored that free kick. But what you don't know is, when I was warming up down on the right-hand side, the fans were hammering me, like calling me all the names in the sun, you name it. Good and bad as banter, but you try and just diffuse it by having a little bit of banter yourself. It just didn't work. And I remember just scoring that free kick off the post, and I just remember going over and giving it that, you know what I mean? But you could just see the faces, though, lads, like, you fucking wanker. You know what I mean? You wanker. But it was just like, I used to always I didn't mind the banter, me lads. Do you know what I mean? Because it's part and parcel of, isn't it? You know what I mean? It's just, I always felt like you were doing something right, or you were a bit of a nuisance if they give you some stick. You know what I mean? So it all added to everything involved with it. With that rivalry with Preston and Blackburn, it was great.
We had some great games against Preston. They were
just incredible times, weren't they?
I enjoy being so far ahead of them, but a part of me does hope they one day somehow get promoted, because I do miss that game. It's a good game.
And the Blackburn game, I mean, the Burnley Black.
They can stay.
No, but the Burnley Blackburn games, they go under the radars, but they're ferocious.
Oh, it's massive.
They're ferocious. You're going about Liverpool, Man United, things like that. It's Chelsea, Tottenham, Arsenal, but it was ferocious.
Yeah.
And because it's relatively two smaller clubs with not massive fan base, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Burnley fans will forgive me for saying that, but it was just in the quality of it was ferocious.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
A 4 out of 5, mate. Very, very good.
I'll take that.
Yeah, I think that's more than Tony, less same as Paul Weller, I think.
I think so. Yeah.
You're joint top of the ex-Burnley lads, Robbie.
You know what? I'll take that. I've never been top in my life, so I'm happy with that. Whether it was school or whatever, I was always at the bottom, so I'm quite happy with that.
And that does bring us to the end. And I just want to end on one note, Robbie, which is, is he gone?
I'm still there. Someone's trying to ring me. I do apologise.
It's all right.
It's a good spot. I think
it'll go in a minute.
You're all right, mate. Take your time.
Good timing, though.
Is it an ex-player?
Hey there, boys. No, it was actually the manager of the team I'm coaching at the minute. So
good, you got your priorities right, Robbie.
No, absolutely. Yeah. He can fuck off. Use it on.
I just wanted to end on one point. Like I say, it's not often as a Burnley fan you get to talk to one of your heroes, and I just want to say, you were a legend at Burnley. That's all.
Appreciate that, mate.
And you're a well-loved player. You'll never be forgotten. You did a great job for our club. That really helped put us to where we are now. So
it's been a pleasure speaking to you, lads, and make sure you stay safe. Make sure your families all stay safe, and just whoever the Burnley supporters who are listening to this, just want to say, a huge thank you to the support that I got throughout the years. It was an incredible journey that we went on, one that I'll never ever forget. And you're the first. You'll always be the first team I look out for, and the first team that's at the top of the list in my heart, sort of say. I know it's a bit cheesy, but it's true. And such great times, and hopefully them times will continue. The club will get better, and the supporters will be very happy, because if there's any supporters in the land that I want to be happy, make sure the Burnley fans are. So appreciate everything tonight, lads. Nice to meet you, Josh. Nice to meet you, Nicholas, as well. And wish you all the best, lads. And I'll give you a nice shout out on Twitter with this interview. So
brilliant.
Appreciate it, lads.
Thanks so much, Robbie.
Look after yourselves,
Stay
boys.
safe, and thanks so much, mate.
Yeah.
Thanks, cheers, mate.
Take care, mate. Bye.